You want to hear something that's going to blow your mind? $1 million in profit from less than 6,000 Instagram followers. What I want to walk you through is a story of a business owner that I just recently met doing those exact numbers from a tiny audience and what you can use from those strategies for yourself to get started making big money, even if you have a small audience.
I had the most insane thing happen last night, and it has had me at a loss for words. I was actually at a loss for words, like speechless, befuddled, bewildered. And I was like, what is going on? And it took a concept that I kind of believe in, and I've made some moves around it. And it took it to the absolute hyperbolic extreme that you could imagine. And it still held true. And I think that for business owners who are listening to this, for people who make content who are listening to this, but just in this is going to, I mean, it has slightly nudged how I see the world, and I'll just put it that way. And I feel like a lot of the beliefs that I have around the world are still relatively, I hold on, I believe them pretty strongly. So here's what happened. So we had a company come in, and the lady who owns the company is a registered dietitian, and I'm not going to shout her. I would shout her out because I want her to get all the kudos in the world, but I don't want it to mess up what she's doing. And so that's why I'm going to keep it anonymous. So she's a registered dietitian. She takes home just under $1 million a year helping other registered dietitians bill insurance correctly. And so it's super niche in terms of what she's really good at. So she knows how to be an RD and help people bill insurance codes properly. And so the average I think a dietitian adds like $100,000 in income using just like her kind of coding system for billing them, right? Crazy niche, crazy niche. And so I spent some time with her. We talked about her business, some things. I was like, hey, I think if you move this stuff around, and I think that the business could probably do about $3 million a year to $5 million a year in profit if she just moves some of the things around that we talked about. And so I was like, cool, this is great. And so we had dinner, and I was like, hey, let me see your Instagram. So I just wanted to pull it up because I was going to make a point about something, because I assumed that she had, like, I wanted to see what kind of content she had. I assumed that she had at least a relatively large following. I honestly hadn't looked. Shame on me. And this is what happens. I pull it up. Number one, her account is not verified. And I'm like, this is your number one source of income and you are not paying $14.99 a month. Like, what are you doing? What are you doing? And after yelling at her for that, I then was drawn to the next natural, absolutely unbelievable thing that I'm going to say to you. She had 5,800 followers. Her average post got 19 likes and like one comment. And 100% of her acquisition came from her organic Instagram with just under 6,000 followers. I pulled up her account stats because I was losing my mind seeing the amount of sales that she was making off of this account. Her account, her reach for 30 days of her account was 2,800. That was her reach, 2,800. Like, for context, I do about 20 million a month. Context. And I was like, what is happening right now? Like, what is going on? How is this possible? And so she's doing 10 plus sales a day at a low ticket price and doing 3-ish sales a week at a higher ticket price. And when I say higher ticket, I'm talking like, $4,000 or $5,000 type price point. And then a lower ticket thing for just like some cheat sheets of like, here's all the codes and this is how you can do them, whatever. And a 10 a day. Okay. And so that's the big story. Now I'm going to zoom out and I'm going to say what I think is so cool about this. So she says this, and I was like, how are you doing this? And she was like, you know what? I got my first sale when I had 8 people on my email list. 8. And I was like, that's nuts. And she was like, yeah. So it was really confirming for me that like there's people were listening. And so I was like, well, how big is your email list now? And she's been doing this for a few years. I told 2,900 people on her email list. And she makes sales from emails. And it was such a great reset for me. It was such a good nudge as a reminder that the view count you have on the other side, the 19 likes, like there's a real person on the other side of this that is watching your clip that has 5 views. There's a real person who's opening up your emails when you have a list that has 300 people on it. Like, people are watching, people are listening. And the thing that was unique that I found about her, I'll say two things, and I think that there's a really good meta concept here. One is her content was consistent, and she said, yeah, I do one post and I do one story every day. And I like, but she was like super proud of it. I was like, this is adorable and also crazy. But the posts that she talks about, 100% of them are about billing insurance as a registered dietitian. Like, could not be more niche. You couldn't even think of one, right? Maybe I couldn't even imagine one. And despite that, she's making the sales that she is. And so I'm going to zoom out on this because I think it's really interesting. So if you go to Alex's homepage, right, like as a user of Instagram, my user page, I've showed this to people because people are like, this is really weird. All I have is philosophy stuff, comedy, and gym equipment. Like, that's my whole feed. I have no news. It's philosophy, comedy, and gym equipment because that's what I look at. And what's interesting is that the philosophy is a lot of those are kind of like mid-size. The comedians are mass market, so a lot of those guys are bigger. But I get tiny comedians, like 5,000 follower, 10,000 follower comedians get shown to me all the time because Instagram knows I like comedy. And equipment dealers and equipment manufacturers and metal fabricators, not always the best marketers. And so like these accounts that I follow there have like 500, 1,000, like 2,000, like they're not huge accounts. But I get served everything in that space on Instagram because that's what I'm into. And so I think that there's a couple of really interesting things here. One is that I think that niche content will make you a hell of a lot more money if that's what you're actually selling. And here's the thing, I have learned this lesson twice. So I like to pretend that I'm, I like to think I'm a fancy businessman who learns all these lessons. But I have messed this up 2 times, not 2 times. And so I tell the story about how my podcast was getting, 2,000-3,000 downloads per month, which is like 100 downloads an episode. Not a lot, right? And that was for like a few years. But I don't tell you this other part of the story, which is that my podcast started growing in numbers when I started talking about general business. It also started growing in numbers even faster once we sold the company for Gym Launch. But there was a period of about 18 months prior to me selling where I just talked about general business because I was like, I'm tired of talking about gyms. I just want to talk about business in general. During that period of time, our organic sales went to basically 0. And it took us like 6 months to figure out that the reason that had happened was because I stopped talking about gym shit. And gym owners were like less interested in my content than generic business content. And that makes sense. Like if you're a business owner, you're going to listen to business stuff in general. If you're a dentist, then you're going to get a lot out of a dentist only podcast, right? But there's not that many dentists, so you're not going to get a lot of listens, but the listens in terms of relevancy is going to be through the roof. And so we started making less sales, but I was getting more views, more listens, right? Now I ended up wanting to go in that direction, so it was fine. And I'm talking about general business now, right? I made that mistake the second time, not necessarily a mistake, we learned, right? 3 to 6 months ago, we were like, let's experiment with some wider content. And by experimenting with wider content, we sure as hell got more views, more a bunch of other vanity metrics. But the number of business owners that was watching, and the way I measured that was our CPMs on our videos on YouTube, the amount of people who opt in at acquisition.com, people who buy our books, all of those metrics were actually down despite our views being up. And so this little story that I have of the dinner that I had last night blew me away because it just showed how much you can really make if you have a diehard audience that doesn't need to be big. Less than 6,000 followers. Her account reaches less than 2,800 accounts per month, and she's taking home almost $1 million a year. That's income, not revenue. I'm just talking profit. And right now, if she just makes the couple of obvious changes that she could make, she'll probably make somewhere in the $3 to $5 million a year range. Income. And if you're looking to make your first dollar online or monetize your audience, no matter what the size is, skool.com/games is the easiest way that I know how to do it. I take a call once a week inside of that community to answer questions for people who are getting started. I have a step-by-step course that lays out what exactly to do to make your first dollar online. And once a month, I drop 8 hours of training from the top 10 community business owners, showing exactly what they're doing to scale their communities today.
Have you ever looked at yourself in the mirror and thought, wow, I should be further ahead by now? If you're trying to make money online or start your first business and feel overwhelmed, you're not alone. Every day you see other people succeeding and you wonder, why am I not succeeding? Maybe you don't like your job or you're unfulfilled. You want to do something you love and make money, but you feel stuck, bored, confused, or maybe all three. I get it. I spent years in the exact same spot. Afraid to fail, but ashamed of being afraid. And it wasn't until I paid another business owner to teach me how to run a local business that I felt comfortable starting my own. He showed me the ropes and gave me the confidence to start. And after scaling my local gym chain from learning this stuff from him, I started a company called Gym Launch, which I sold years later for $46.2 million. Now, what I want to do is repay the favor. I want to show you the ropes the exact way that business owner did for me. And as the person with the largest community on Skool, which I'll tell you about in a second, I can show you exactly what to do. You can start your own online community business today with all the things I didn't know when I started my first business for free with the Skool Games. So imagine building a business being as easy as playing a video game with step-by-step instructions, live workshops, real-time leaderboards, and new friends to make it fun. If all that were true, would you at least be interested? Okay. Now, you might be wondering, well, what exactly is Skool? How do the Skool Games work? How much does it cost? Do I need to be an expert? Do I need an audience? What are the prizes? Great questions. Let me break it down for you. Skool Games is a fun, easy way to build your online business. No experience or followers needed. Just simply choose a painful experience you overcame, something you find interested or you're passionate about, or some skill you learned throughout your career, no matter how small. It could be as simple as a better way to organize folders, or meal prepping for kids who have food allergies, or travel hacks. And then all you have to do is just invite people to community about overcoming that pain, following that passion, or learning that skill. And we'll show you exactly how to build it and monetize it on your first try. Now, if that sounds insanely simple, that's because it is. So check it out. Hakeem, a former barber, now teaches barbers how to cut hair, and he makes over $16,000 a month in recurring revenue and was able to retire his mom from his online community. Levi and his partner from Music Money VIP help musicians and creatives learn the business of making money, and they take home over $30,000 a month from that community. Evelyn gained 234 members on her first month in the Skool Games organically, just from the millions of users we already have on Skool. And how about Christian, who simply teaches people how to flip phones and then was able to make a phone flipping community? Kai created a YouTube community helping other YouTubers make better thumbnails and headlines. And this is the first time he's ever made an offer, and he's earning over $57,000 a month after his first Skool Games. Nate and his brother are really into anime and fitness, so they created a community to help people do anime and fitness together and become their own heroes. And they did $91,000 in recurring revenue their first month. And Kenneth started Creditpreneurs, a community that helps people improve their credit scores and makes over $70,000 a month in recurring revenue. And the thing is it doesn't have to be about making the money. It could just be doing the things that you love. Jed teaches people how to paint with acrylic. Antonio teaches men how to pick the right cologne. Ryan has a paid community just for fun with funny gifts, and he has hundreds of people paying him $1 a month. The possibilities really are endless. And here's the thing, you can become one of these success stories. You want to know why I say that so confidently? Because 54.1% of people who start a paid community in Skool make money. Yes, you heard that right. More than 1 out of 2 people who start a paid community in Skool make money. That means by your next reunion, instead of answering, what are you up to these days? You could be answering, how'd you do that? And could you help me? And the thing is you probably could, because it's not that hard. So think about a paid community like this. It's kind of like an online party. So when people go to a party, it's not the host that makes the party, it's the other people at the party. Those just invites the guests, provide the place to meet, and sets the rules for the party. And since it's your party, you can make the theme whatever you want and invite whoever you want. And when the party rocks, you get all the credit, even though you just put it together. And when the doorman collects the money to let people in, it all goes to you. Right now, people are paying hundreds, sometimes thousands, to get into digital communities the same way they do nightclubs or cafes. Just think about it as a place where lots of people who want to talk about the same stuff can gather together, and people pay to get in. And the crazy thing is people are selling courses and coaching programs for thousands and tens of thousands on how to build a business like this because it's so profitable. But what if there were a faster, easier, zero-risk way to learn how to do this for yourself? What if you could learn how to start, scale, and monetize an online group the right way on your first try for free? Would you at least consider it? All right. So for those of you who want more out of life, an online community takes the least amount of time to get started. You can literally make money in hours. It requires the least skill. If you can invite people to a party, you can make this business work. And you don't need to be an expert. You just invite those people and let them do the heavy lifting for you. It's kind of like Wikipedia. Wikipedia is not the expert at anything. They just bring the people together and then they are the online de facto experts. It's even faster than building a course or starting a coaching program because you don't need to have all the answers for that exact reason. Interested yet? Good. Because Skool Games was designed to smash through every obstacle that once stood in the way of starting an online business. It's why we have such an insanely high success rate. We've obsessed for years about removing everything that stops people from succeeding. And that's why with the Skool Games, you can succeed without an audience or expertise. Because let's face it, most people don't. And so we had to figure out a way to help people win. And of the 5 out of 7 communities I talked about earlier who won the Skool Games in their first month, only 2 of them had organic followings before they started. You don't need any fancy software, calendars, payment processing. Everything you need is already built into Skool. And you don't even have to know what your community is going to be about yet. I'll show you how to pick it. It's simple, and you can do it in less than 20 minutes. And if you're wondering, well, how do I get people invited to my community? Don't worry, you don't have to ask people you know. We've made it simple to crowdsource your community, just like Evelyn did through Skool itself on the millions of users we already have on the platform. As for tech skills, you don't need any. If you have the technology to watch this video right now, you already have all the tech you need to start, scale, and succeed. So what happens if you sign up right now? Well, you'll follow our process, you'll build a paid community about whatever it is you love, and if you become one of the top 10 communities on the leaderboard, you'll join me and other successful community owners here in Vegas. And even if you don't win the first month, you get to keep competing every month until you win. And then you can join all the alumni and all the past winners to get to the next level. Worst case scenario, you join, you do nothing, you decide to quit and walk away with thousands of dollars worth of knowledge that you can take with you on whatever business venture you want next. Best case scenario, you take a zero risk move and change your life forever. Or maybe you're just like Kyle, who's never won the games, never got in the top 10, and just built a community that makes him $4,664 a month in recurring revenue. He didn't win any awards, but would 3, 4, 5 grand a month change things for you? If so, then you're in the right place. Remember, the only guarantee is that if you don't take the shot, you'll stay exactly where you are. But if you do, you could be the next one coming out to Vegas celebrating how quickly you built an online business with consistent monthly recurring revenue. You in? Click the button below to join the Skool Games now. If you join this month, I'll personally onboard you live. Sign up and I'll see you on our onboarding call on Monday. You can ask me whatever you want. Now, if you're worried about starting a free trial, we offer an unconditional money back guarantee. So if you finish your trial and you forget to cancel, just let us know and we'll refund you. All right, we just want people to win. And I'm gonna say this one more time because it's important. 1 out of 2 people who start a paid community in Skool make money, with the average paid community owner earning $1,360 per month. You really can do this. Click the button and let's get started.